very warm welcome. You're watching the biggest exclusive tonight with me, Akanksha Swaroop. Now, DSP Surendra Singh in Haryana's Mowed district was investigating illegal stone mining. He was brutally murdered when he signaled a dumper truck to stop to a halt to check its documents. But the driver sped on, running over DSP Singh. Is this the cost our country's police official has to pay for doing his job? Illegal mining of stone and sand in the Aravalli Hills of Haryana is no secret. But what explains the government's failure, both at state and centre level, to curb the menace of what can easily be labelled as mining terrorism? Here's a report.
हमारी टीम्स काफ़ी फील्ड में है और वी आर वेरी होपफुल कि हमें सक्सेस जल्दी मिल जानी चाहिए।
बिल्कुल सख्त कार्रवाई करने के मैंने आदेश जारी कर दिए हैं, चाहे जितनी भी पुलिस लगानी पड़े। बिल्कुल किसी को नहीं बख्शा जाएगा, सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
ना विधायक ना पुलिस अपने आप में सुरक्षित हैं तो आम आदमी कैसे सुरक्षित रहेगा? जहाँ कानून है चुस्त दुरुस्त जब तक नहीं होगी उसका बड़ा भारी गहरा प्रभाव प्रदेश के विकास पे भी पड़ता है।
So let's take you through that tragedy that took place in Haryana's Mowed area. We are talking about a very honest police officer. He was mowed down by the sand mafia for standing up to these goons. DSP Surendra Singh was his name. He was brutally murdered during a raid that he was conducting in the Aravalli Hills along with his team. And remember, the Aravalli Hills are notorious for operation of the sand mafia. On an average, there are 50 complaints filed against the sand mining, illegal sand mining, as far as this area is concerned in the area of Mowed. Now, reports say that the driver of the dumper was stopped by the DSP for a check. He panicked and ran the truck over DSP Surendra Singh. DSP Singh's murder today is symptomatic of a far deeper malaise of the sand mining mafia that's running rampage for years, flexing its muscles against the law of the country. And today, its killing adds to this long list of havoc that has been wreaked by the mafia, that is the illegal sand mining mafia, even as the Haryana government assures that strong action will be taken. And with that, let's now also quickly take you through what the sand mafia rampage has been like. Remember, it goes back many years ago, but we'll start with the freshest case of July 2022 in Haryana. That is today's case. The DSP was mowed down by a truck in Mowed. Now, in February of this year itself, on February 4 to be precise, we also had the state of Rajasthan. A string of attacks on policemen were carried on in Alwar. Remember, these are all cases that are taking place by the mafia. On January 30th in this year itself, in the state of Bihar, 10 policemen were injured in attacks in Banka and Vaishali. On July 4th, in 2022 itself, we also had the state of Telangana. Goons attacked forest officials who were trying to save these forests, but they set them ablaze. And on February 26th, in 2022, we're looking at a case in Punjab, 60-year-old killed for opposing illegal sand mining. An average of 50 similar complaints have been filed every year since 2015. Now, this is something that we are all aware of, but nothing, absolutely nothing has been done so far. And with that, let's also quickly take a status update from our correspondent Anshul Singh, who's been live from Tauru in Haryana. If we could quickly go across to Anshul. Anshul, what is the latest that you're picking in terms of the suspect who's been nabbed? Also, I'd like you to take our viewers through how Aravali's new area is known to have an average of 50 complaints against illegal sand mining, and yet nothing has been done.
So yes, Nu has been infamous for land mining, especially stone mining, because remember this entire area is surrounded by hills and small hills. So the main occupation that the people, I got a chance to speak to locals over here, and they say that this is the main occupation that people do. They actually mine stones from these hills, and these stones are then transported to the nearby city. In that city, these stones are crushed and hence sent to the market for consumption. So yes, this is something that has been happening in Haryana, especially in this Mewed region, for many years. Now, since the BJP government has been in power, it is being told that there has been a lot of stringent action that has been taken. Special teams have been made just to make sure that land mining does not happen at the same pace that it used to happen. And the land mining that was happening over here definitely tells a lot about that the officials on the ground were actually in cahoots with these miners or with these mafia who have managed to spread their empire over here, massive empire over here. So talking about the case that has happened today, the first person has been nabbed by the police. The police has confirmed to CNN News 18 that there were actually 4 people who were trying to escape from the Mewed region, and one of them, who is known as Ikkar, has now been arrested by the police in an encounter that was carried out. He was shot on the leg, and as he fell down, the police went ahead and arrested him. He has now been taken to the hospital where his MLC is being done, which means that the medical legal certificate is being made in that hospital. Now, once he gets discharged from the hospital, he will be presented in front of the district magistrate court, where the Haryana police is likely to ask for extension of for his judicial police custody. Now, as to how many days will that custody be given to him, that remains to be seen as of now. But what we are also picking up, that the police has not stopped as of now. Now remember, Ikkar, who has been arrested, he is not the only accused in this case. He is one of the accused in this case, and it is still not clear where he was in that dumper, dumper that ran over DSP Surinder Singh. So he is being said to be one of the person of that whole mafia, and he has now been arrested. When the investigation will be carried forward, it remains to be seen what more details will he spell out to the police. However, the police is under a lot of pressure. Just a few minutes ago, we heard the DGP of Haryana speaking to the media. Now the DGP has moved to the location where the incident happened. We saw his cavalcade moving towards the location where the incident happened. Currently at the hospital is what we are being told, that the SP is with Ikkar at the hospital. The police team is at the hospital getting his MLC done, getting him the initial first aid that is required after he was
I completely
shot
agree with you.
on the leg.
Much
Also,
is now to be carried on as far as those investigations are concerned. A lot of answering to be done by Haryana police at the moment, but that's the question we are now opening to all our viewers. Cops are unsafe. Does common man even stand a chance? That's the question we are posing to all of you, our viewers. Share your views with us on 01204341895. That's the number on your screens. And with that, let me also open the question to our esteemed panelists. The question is, Haryana cop mowed down, price of long rope to the mafia. Is that the price that the Haryana cop had to pay for that long rope, which is now being released to the mafia? And with that, let me also introduce our guests. I'm joined in by Prateek Som, who's the spokesperson of the JJP. I'm joined in by Ritu Chaudhary, who's the Congress spokesperson. Shashikant, who's the former DGP of Punjab. Hemant Atri, who's a senior journalist as well. Mr. Shashikant, if I may begin with you. In your experience as a former DGP of Punjab, one of those states where illegal sand mining is already a menace, what explains this lack of government action against this menace, and what's causing this kind of failure at the administration level? Is it bribes, intimidation by the mafia, lack of paper trail or FIRs by the cops, or is it that the government is in connivance?
Look, let me tell you that we're talking of sand mafia. We have sand mafia, we have got drug mafia, we have got land mafia, we have got timber mafia, we have got road mafia, we've got education mafia. All of our mafias, nothing was a mafia ranch. And the saddest part is that this is all being done under the protection of a certain a section of politicians, as also, like you rightly said, in cahoots with certain police officers and certain other persons belonging to various services. Now, coming to the specific thing of Haryana, okay, what's gonna be there? The one person has been arrested. I say it's all subterfuge. That driver who did it, is he the only person who's responsible? What about the persons who have been protecting?
Right.
In the neighboring, are you talking about Aravali? In neighboring Rajasthan, almost 31 hills have vanished. Hills have vanished out of 128 or something. That is the extent to which it has gone to. What the concerned state governments have done. Yeah, and that too despite the orders of the Supreme Court.
Right.
And yeah, okay, sure, thank you.
No, despite the orders of the Supreme Court, and let's not forget the National Green Tribunal as well. They've been coming down heavy. I'd like to bring in Hemant Athri on that. Hemant, whether it's the states of Haryana, Punjab, MP, UP, Rajasthan, Bihar, or even southern states like Tamil Nadu and Telangana, how do you view the threat and terror of sand mafia now in India?
See, Akanksha, this is a clear-cut, glaring case of the police administration, and the politicians working together for their corrupt means. This DSP has not been murdered. He has been mowed down. He has been crushed. He was to retire on 31st of October. And see, Haryana is a very small state, Akanksha. It has only 22 districts. And you will be amazed to know that there are 16 districts in Haryana wherein mining is done. Part of this where it happened today, it is stone mining. And the Yamuna belt right from Panchkula up to Palwal, there is sand mining. So the thing is, all those politicians in power who are really behind these culprits, what about them? I was just, as Mr. Shashikant was rightly pointing out, I fully agree with him. My point is somewhat different. Last year only, the Dadam stone crusher was completely, it was mined at a 90-degree angle and it collapsed, it gave in. Who has been arrested till date? Who has been arrested? The issue is basically all these politicians in power, they are hand in glove along with the mining mafia, along with this transport mafia. Will you believe in Haryana only, there are 50,000 these dumpers running around. And you know who drives them? These are all untrained drivers, all criminal kind of people driving. And if there is any study, you will be shocked to know hundreds and hundreds of people of Haryana are being killed on the roads by their negligent driving, point number one. Number two, state exchequer is losing hundreds of crores per year.
In fact, that is one issue I'm going to actually come and talk to you about, because the state exchequer also, as you rightly said, is facing huge losses. That in itself is one angle that we are going to discuss at length. I'll come and take that question from you. As far as answering by the political parties is concerned, let me take my first question from Prateek Som of the JJP. Prateek, I spoke with a senior advocate who's fighting against illegal sand mining in Punjab and Haryana High Court. He claims that the highest authorities in the state are involved. Would you agree that's true, especially when it comes to governments in power, and not just the ones that are currently in the ruling dispensation, but even governments of the past as well?
All right, I'll reply to your question. First of all, a deep condolences to the family of DSP Surendra Singh from me, my party, and from Haryana government. Whatever happened is very unfortunate. An upright and brave officer has laid down his life for the service of the state.
Right.
And as a gesture of solidarity, already Haryana government has announced 1 crore of compensation to the family, 1 government job to the family, and also the status of martyr to DSP Surendra Singh. Now, replying to your question,
is that enough?
I also
is that enough for a
fact
cop
that
who dedicated his entire life
let me please reply.
to the administration of the state?
See, can I please reply?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, yes. See, we have to understand, I also admit this point, that Mewed and New districts in Haryana has lot of activities related to sand mafia and mining mafia. But the difference between the previous government and the current government is now the government is taking them head on. And today's example is one of it, wherein our officer of DSP rank was trying to stop the illegal mining, and that is only on the directions of the Haryana government. So it is a clear evidence that Haryana government is not trying to shield these all activities and trying to take it head on. We are admitting
and that the
with
driver
fact
of that dumper truck chose to mow down over the cop.
Yes.
What do you make of that kind of brazenness?
Yes.
Isn't that disregard for the law? What gives him that confidence or that faith to do so? I'm sure he was thinking that he can get away with it, which is why he did it.
Yes. He will face law of the land. Already FIR under 302 and 307 is registered. The police in the encounter has apprehended one person, Ikrar, who has been shot in the leg, and the other person, police enforcement, is already on the ground. The Director General of Police Haryana is already on the spot, and whole machinery of the state government is working towards bringing justice to DSP Surinder Singh. I mentioned it in my beginning remarks that whatever happened is very unfortunate. We offer our condolences. Whatever state government can do, they have done. But we will try our best that these kind of incidents are not reported again and do not occur again.
Ritu Chaudhary, if I may bring you in on this, how do you react to the role that governments are playing? Especially, I'm going to quote the instance as far as state of Punjab is concerned. We all know what happened earlier this year. In fact, sand mining emerged as one of the biggest election issues there, just ahead of the Punjab polls. And I'm talking about what happened because back then Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Channi was also in the eye of the storm. His nephew Honey was jailed for a case which was related with illegal sand mining as well. What is the kind of role that the government in Punjab has played back then?
First of all, I must say this is not a murder of DSP. This is a murder of constitution machinery in Haryana state. Actually, this is not the first time when this kind of incidents happen. पहले भी जो है इसमें इस तरह के जो है खनन माफिया द्वारा ऑफिसर्स के ऊपर हमले होते रहे हैं. आपको जानकारी हो कि इतनी ज्यादा जो है जब से बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट हरियाणा में आई है तब से खनन माफिया का जो है बहुत ज्यादा ये जिसमें आपको याद होगा कि भिवानी में जो है डाडम गांव में पूरा पहाड़ का पहाड़ जो है मजदूरों पे गिर गया था.
रितु जी, मैंने आपसे पंजाब के बारे में पूछा है, आपने पंजाब के बारे में नहीं बताया, जिसमें छन्नी जी का भी नाम आया था और उनके नेफ्यू का भी नाम आया था. हनी जेल भी हुए थे उनके नेफ्यू. 10 करोड़ रुपए और गोल्ड भी बरामद हुआ था हनी के घर से.
जी, उसमें चन्नी जी ने ऑलरेडी उन्होंने ये चीज बोल दी थी कि जो है अगर इस तरह का कुछ काम हुआ है तो उस पर कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए और कार्रवाई हुई भी थी.
और रितु जी मेरे साथ बने रहिए क्योंकि ये शो कॉलर्स का भी है, उनके भी व्यूज जानना बहुत जरूरी है. आई एम जॉइंड इन बाय अरिंदम फ्रॉम गुरुग्राम. अरिंदम, प्लीज गो अहेड एंड शेयर योर व्यूज. डू यू फील safe considering you're coming from Gurugram? How do you feel about coming from a state which is actually falling victim to illegal sand mining, and that too by the mafia now?
Well, the illegal sand mining, the rock excavations are going on for last quite a few years.
Right.
I stay on the golf course extension road. This road connects with the Faridabad highway and the NH8. Sona Road. Now, throughout night, even during the morning hours, we find dumpers, 16-wheelers, 14-wheelers, which are carrying rocks and racing against each other. They become a dangerous part for the commuters who are generally in small cars. And for sure, I can see from my balcony that they are hand in glove with the local authorities. Whether it is the police, whether it is the enforcement guys,
right.
And even I have seen local politicians coming up and releasing the dumpers when they are caught by police.
Absolutely.
So this is
it seems like the writing is on the wall, and there just seems to be absolutely no consideration given by administration or even the politicians, as you're rightly pointing out. Let me also move over to my next caller, Dr. Devendra, who's joining us from Delhi. Please go ahead, Dr. Devendra.
First of all, I would like to express my condolences to the killed person, police person. Now, I want to ask another question. Had it been some goon killed by the police, all these people, here we find some spokesperson, second rank spokesperson from the political parties. Then Kejriwal, all chief ministers, everybody would have gone there. Look, police is killing, it's a police thing, and government is not at all concerned with the people. No, look at the scenario. Police killed, nobody is bothered. And goon is killed, everybody is shouting. That's my problem.
It is indeed tragic, because we are looking at a cop who had dedicated his entire life, was all set to retire. In fact, let me also move over to my next caller, Kapil Mishra, who's joining us from Odisha. Kapil, if you could share your views with us. Kapil, can you hear?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my deepest condolence to the family of the TSP who has just lost their great life.
Kapil Mishra, if you could please mute your television set, perhaps that's what's causing an echo of your voice. If you could please mute that television set of yours.
Yes, that was a very, my deepest condolence to the family, but the thing is a great loss, as if it would have been to a goon, it would have been all the party would have came, but for the bereaved family, nobody is there. So this thing is a loss, and a lot of actions must be taken.
Right. Thank you for speaking to us, Kapil. Mr. Shashikant, if I could bring you in on this. We were discussing how the case actually surfaced in Punjab shortly before polls, how the entire issue of illegal sand mining, I mean, whether it's sand mining, stone mining, has also already surfaced in the state of Punjab. We've seen then CM Chani's nephew also being jailed with regards to the same case. Do you not agree that the governments also at the state levels are proving to be partners in crime?
Of course, I've said it, and I've said it loud and clear, that whether you talk of sand mafia, whether you can talk of other mafias, that can have a protection of a section of politicians and a good section of the cops, good section of the policemen also, no doubt about it. Without protection, nobody can dare to take the law in his hands. And in such cases, like here, what has happened, like I mentioned earlier, what's going to happen? The dumper driver will be caught, prosecuted and everything, but the real persons, they'll go scot-free. And जैसे होता है हिंदी में बोलूं कि ड्राइवर ने मार दिया, ड्राइवर तुम्हारे परिवार का मैं रक्षा करेगा, ये इतना पैसा ले लो, तुम इल्जाम अपने सिर पे ले लो. That's gonna be happen in this case also.
Right.
Let's look at the larger, bigger scenario.
Right.
Not just this case that a guy has been apprehended, one guy has been apprehended. In Punjab, it has also been happening, like you rightly mentioned. A number of politicians have been coming on news off and on. They were involved. You will be surprised. There were regular dumps where they were collecting sand, and from there they were siphoning off and selling off at the market in all those places. It's a massive, massive scandal which has been going on amongst others besides drugs and all those things. Yes.
रितु चौधरी, पंजाब के जो फॉर्मर सीएम हैं अमरिंदर सिंह जी ने भी पहले क्लेम किया था इस साल की शुरुआत में. उन्होंने कहा कि वो जानते हैं कि 40 कांग्रेस एमएलएज इन्वॉल्व थे सैंड माइनिंग एक्टिविटीज में. और मैं उन्हें कोट करना चाहूंगी वर्बेटम रिपोर्ट्स में से, जहां उन्हें कोट किया गया. उन्होंने कहा, वन ऑफ माई एंड्योरिंग रिग्रेट्स इज व्हाई आई डिड नॉट टेक सम ऑफ देम टू टास्क. ही रिग्रेटेड that those 40 MLAs could not be taken to task. How do you react to such a scenario where MLAs, politicians who are supposed to be taking care or other responsibility for the citizens of their country, are partaking in such kind of criminal activities?
Our party never supported such a people. हमारे जो है कभी हमने इस तरह से सपोर्ट नहीं किया है. और इसमें चन्नी जी का जो आपने नाम लिया, उन्होंने भी साफ तौर पे बोला कि इस पूरे मामले से जो है उनका कोई लेना देना था नहीं. और दूसरी बात जो है कि जब एक स्टेट में जो है इतनी बड़ी जो घटना हो जाती है, उसके बाद जो है बजाय कि सरकार को घेरने के, सरकार पे क्वेश्चन करने के, आप जो है दूसरे पुराने जो है गड़े मुर्दे उखाड़ने में लग जाते हैं। चैनल का ये कर्तव्य बनता है कि सरकार को क्वेश्चन किया जाए। जब से बीजेपी सरकार जो है हरियाणा में बनी है, तब से खनन माफिया का जो है एक इंसिडेंट नहीं है।
मैम, उनको तो क्वेश्चन किया ही जा रहा है। अगर उनके स्पोक्स पर्सन आज यहाँ होते तो उन्हें तो क्वेश्चन करते ही।
और हरियाणा सरकार के गृह मंत्री मतलब एक जोकर की तरह जो है व्यवहार करते हैं कि मैंने ये कर दिया, मैंने वो कर दिया। ऑलरेडी पहले ही इतने इंसिडेंट हो चुके हैं। आपने खुद ने भी बोला कि 50 एफआईआर उसमें हो चुकी है, अभी तक क्यों नहीं कार्रवाई करी? क्यों अपराधियों को संरक्षण सरकार जो है वो देती है? क्या कारण है कि अभी तक खनन माफिया जो है, खनन माफिया, रेत माफिया, जितने भी माफिया है वो इतने खुलेआम घूम रहे हैं, उनके अपराधियों के
हाँ, तो रितु जी ये
कितने सीनियर ऑफिसर, हाई रैंक ऑफिसर, डीएसपी तक
एब्सोल्युटली मैं आपकी बात से पूरी तरह से सहमत हूँ। इसमें बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट को भी बहुत आंसरिंग करनी होगी, लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि जो पहले की गवर्नमेंट है वो आंसरेबल नहीं है। आई ऑल्सो हैव अ कॉलर फ्रॉम गाजियाबाद एट द मोमेंट. Let's quickly listen from our caller. Sunil Malik is joining me from Ghaziabad. Sunil, please go ahead and share your views.
गुड इवनिंग आकांक्षा। मैं हर रोज ये शोज देखता हूँ। रूलिंग पार्टी और ओपोजिशन वाले सिर्फ मड स्लिंगिंग के अलावा दे हैव नथिंग टू डू। ये जो आपका सैंड माफिया है, कोई भी आदमी घर से बाहर निकल के रात को देख ले, आसपास आपको कहीं भी रिवर के आसपास यू विल फाइंड नंबर ऑफ ट्रक्स एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द ट्रक्स आर विदाउट नंबर्स। ये सबको पता है क्या होता है। 90% पुलिस वालों को पता है, 100% पॉलिटिशियंस को पता है कौन क्या करता है, बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे कुछ भी एक्शन नहीं होता। जो कुछ थोड़े से पुलिस वाले जो थोड़े ईमानदार बचे हैं, इफ दे ट्राई टू डू सम एक्शन, ईदर दे आर ट्रांसफर्ड और दे गेट किल्ड। वी फील सो सॉरी। दिस इज द स्टेट ऑफ एवरीवेयर, बीट पंजाब, हरियाणा। आपको क्या लगता है कि नशे का पंजाब के लोगों को आइडिया नहीं है कौन करता है कौन नहीं करता? इज इट सो डिफिकल्ट टू इन्वेस्टिगेट?
राइट. Right, that is something Mr. Shashikant was also pointing out, that it's not just about sand and stone mafia. We are looking at drugs mafia, we are looking at liquor mafia. There are mafia in every aspect. Thank you, Sunil Malik, for speaking to us. Let me take my last question from Mr. Hemant Atri. Mr. Atri, as we were talking about the toll on the exchequer, it's important to refer to the Mines and Minerals Act of 1957, which clearly stipulates that the contractor has to pay royalty to the government. But of course, illegal mining escapes that royalty. And what is the kind of loss that we are looking at the state exchequer? If you could throw some light on that, isn't that something that's also costing the state exchequer?
Akanksha ji, you will be shocked to know that there are particular, everything is written in details in every mining contract, but they are being flouted day in and day out by all the miners. Maybe it is sand mining or it is stone mining. That is point number one. There is no calculation, there is no tax collection, there is all around corruption, there is all around mess. Right. And let me just add one more thing to you. As the BJP spokesperson was saying that one of the person has been arrested. He is only a cleaner of that, this thing, dumper. Only a cleaner has been arrested. I want to know who is the man behind this mafia. If you go in the 16 districts of Haryana, everybody will tell you which ruling party politician is having a head on their hand. Everybody knows in Haryana. If a chief minister wants that this has to be stopped, it cannot take more than 24 hours. It will be stopped right away. But what Qatar government is doing, you will be shocked to know. Earlier, a principal secretary, a very honest principal secretary, came in this transport department, and you know what he was told? There should only be issued one challan per dumper per month. You keep on flouting the overloading weights every day, and you will be giving only one challan. And then a code will be given to that dumper owner, or a slip will be given, and he will be running amok. This is the kind of administration that Haryana is running. Imagine. And these are killing people day in and day out on roads. All these overloaded dumpers, stones keep falling from them. They can hit you, they can hit me, and anybody traveling on the road.
Yeah, that's something which has already been mentioned by our callers who were just calling us. They've shared their first-hand eyewitness accounts. Having said that, many thanks, Mr. Hemant Atri, Ritu Chaudhary, Mr. Shashikant, and also Mr. Prateek Som for joining in this discussion. Needless to say, a multi-pronged effort is going to be needed, not just at the state level, but also by the center. Having said that, it's a wrap of this newscast. Thank you so much for watching. Up next is Plain Speak with Ridhima Bhatnagar.